What's going on, guys? It's Punk Rock Player 1 coming to you guys with another album review video. And today we're going to be looking at Welcome to Collegrove that came out a couple months ago in November. And I was a little late to this review. I hadn't started the channel yet by the time. And you'll see a couple more album reviews later that come from some artists that I like that I did not review yet. Because my channel isn't started. But let's just go ahead and get right into it. So there's a ton of interludes in this album, but it's telling the story basically, or like a sort of synopsis-ish story of Lil Wayne and 2Chainz and how their stories kind of intersect. And I'm here or there for it. It's pretty good. I do understand like the story. It's kind of framing around the album, and Collegrove explaining like where they were brought up, basically with splitting that into two names. Of I think Collie is College Park and Collegrove. I think I'll have to look that up later for Lil Wayne. But so let's get right into the tracks. So after scene 1 is G6, and G6 is coming out pretty strong. It's a slower song, kind of rhythmic, and it does have a cool sample. And this is a thing I've noticed just with this album, but the samples they use is like more on like the techno side, like if I could explain that, kind of like what you'd expect, not from like a typical instrument, but what you would hear from like like almost like Travis Scott kind of sound effects or something like that, which I'm cool with. I like the techno kind of stuff. So G6 is pretty solid right out the gate. And then the next track after that is Big Diamonds. And I'll go ahead and say that Big Diamonds definitely is one of my favorite tracks on the album. And let's go ahead and talk about the beginning of the album. So I feel like this stretch here, G6, Big Diamonds, Pressure, and Long Story Short, that is a very good first quarter of the album. And it shows it, like if you go look up like on Spotify or Apple Music, those are all popular songs. And yeah, so they're all solid. I think the 21 Savage feature on Big Diamonds is solid. I do need to listen to 21 Savage more. I'm not really familiar with him, but I mean I know about him, but I need to listen to him. He's solid. I really like him. He fits well on this track. A great feature. And a little bit about like the back and forth between Lil Wayne and 2Chainz. So I made sure to listen to the first album, Collegrove, before I listened to Welcome to Collegrove, just so I could get kind of a sense of the album, and this being the sequel to that. And I really like the back and forth capabilities you get from Lil Wayne with like, he has a higher register voice, and 2Chainz with almost like he doesn't have as deep of a voice as most rappers, but it's still pretty deep. And he's a big dude. I think he's like 6'5" or something, so that makes sense. His voice is pretty deep. But I really like that dynamic, and that's why they work so well together. And I was reading a little bit about like how they got to know each other, and Lil Wayne, when he was, at the top of his game back in the late 2000s, featured on one of 2Chainz tracks when he wasn't even called 2Chainz yet. So that's pretty cool. So Big Diamonds definitely tick on that for one of the best songs on the album. The next song is Pressure. So Pressure, I most of the time I don't really like songs with whistling on it, but this song actually works because they don't leave you with any room to just hear the whistling, because they are just constantly rapping the whole song, just back and forth. It's obvious why they chose this as one of the singles. Yeah, solid track, very re-listenable. The next song is Long Story Short, and this track kind of has like a nostalgic feel to it, because of the backing sample vocals in the background, kind of like a almost like classical, like 50s Elvis jazz kind of vocals in the background, gang vocals in the background. I do like that. And they also performed this song, I think, on Jimmy Kimmel. And just seeing that on there and then hearing it on here, yeah, it's a solid track. There, like, I'll say this for most of the songs on here. So there's a ton of like mid-tempo, slower songs, like almost like an R&B kind of feel. But just because the song is slow doesn't mean that they're not rapping as fast as they possibly can, which is pretty interesting. Because me personally, for just any songs, doesn't matter if it's hip hop, rap, punk rock or R&B, I do like quicker songs most of the time, in both in melody and in how fast they sing or rap. And but yeah, this is kind of hit the exception for me, where it's like a slow song but the rapping is fast. That's pretty cool. So yeah, so that's Long Story Short. Definitely a standout for sure. And then so then there's another interlude, and then after that is Millions From Now. I'll go ahead and say this is definitely my favorite track on the album. This is mainly a 2Chainz song. Lil Wayne does come in, I think, towards the end. I just really like the beat on this song, and the background sample, like the horns, kind of like almost like an ESPN intro sound, or like the Fox horns intro sound, like dun 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 dun. It kind of sounds like that, and yeah, it's like an epic song. Easy favorite song of the album. And then Crazy Thick is a song that is exactly what it's about. Crazy Thick, very like standout rapping for sure from Lil Wayne. Just like with like the rhythm and how fast he raps, it's pretty solid. And after that is Transparency, featuring Usher. This definitely, not just because Usher is from the 2000s and so is Lil Wayne and 2Chainz, but this definitely just gives you that good old like 2000s pop kind of vibe. Usher has a big part in the song, and it's very good, like solid. I would say this is one of my favorite tracks of the album for sure. Towards the end, I'll choose like a top 5 of what I think is the best songs on this album. Transparency is one of those though. And then after that is Significant Other. Definitely a slower song. That this one didn't really catch my attention. It's just wasn't for me. It's pretty good though. It has some very nice. I believe this one has the female vocals in the background. Several of them do actually, but this one does too. It's a very decent song. Yeah. So after that is another interlude, and after that one is PPA, and that one also has a feature by Fabulous. I don't know if I said that right, but this is a pretty solid track. I wouldn't choose to listen to it, but it's pretty solid. This is mostly a 2Chainz kind of track. He has the like the main like chorus, if you could call it. Not my kind of song that I would listen to, but still, I definitely see the merit in it, and it's pretty good. Yeah. After that is Oprah and Gail. This one features Benny the Butcher. This song is pretty solid. It's another slower R&B song. But again, just because it's a slow song doesn't mean that there's going to be like action in it, because there is. It's Benny the Butcher kind of closes out the song. It's pretty solid. I'm not going to lie. And then the next song after that, Shame. I really like the song. My only complaint with this song is that it is kind of it has the background vocals of like an opera the whole time, like, oh, and that's kind of distracting to me. Like, if they removed that, this would have been my favorite song on the album, because it's only 2 minutes long and it's just like beats you in the face, like it's fast, and I kind of like that kind of song. So close yet so far. Could have been my top song on the album, but the whole time in the background kind of doesn't make me like it as much. But everything else about the song is great. And then after that is Bars, and Bars is exactly what it says. It's a kind of a mid-tempo song. Very cool instrumentals in the background for Bars, and it's exactly what it says. It's just them going back and forth, back and forth. And I'll go ahead and say this, like, the dynamic between 2Chainz and Lil Wayne on here is it's like anything it's like the classic kind of back and forth vocals that you'd expect from like any hip hop group. And then if you go into other genres like punk rock, like Blink-182, you have like the higher voice and the deeper voice, and it works perfectly. I totally see why these guys have like hundreds of songs of them featuring with each other, Lil Wayne and 2Chainz specifically. And after Bars is another interlude, and after that is Godzilla. So this features Vori, and it has some like auto-tune kind of singing. And personally with me, I don't really care about auto-tune. It's how you use it, and I think it's used well in this album. I don't really have a problem with it. And Vori really uses it like singing autotune, not rapping autotune. So I'll go ahead and say that Godzilla is my second favorite track, with Millions From Now being my first favorite. And then, there's a good lyric on Godzilla. It's, what's a gorilla to Godzilla? That's an awesome call back to, I'm sure it has I'm not really sure if it has double meaning. I have to look it up later, but just to the movies with King Kong versus Godzilla, I'm more on Godzilla's side. He's a giant freaking lizard, this Bowser, the kind of like Bowser that can flame somebody. So King Kong can grab an axe, I guess, and use an axe now. I think Godzilla can still take care of him pretty easily. We'll see with the next film. I guess that's why they're making these. But I guess they're going to team up now, like they're super friends or something. So yeah, watch out for that review when that movie comes out. So after Godzilla is Crown Snatcher. This is definitely a fast-paced song, which will automatically make me like it more. Great beats. And I'll go ahead and say this is my third favorite song on the album. And then after that is Can't Believe in You, featuring Rick Ross. I always like Rick Ross's vocals. You'd think with having two deep voiced guys like 2Chainz and Rick Ross, like, would you be able to tell the difference? But you can easily tell the difference with Rick Ross. Solid track. This one also has great female backing vocals. And I'll go ahead and say this is probably the most relaxing sounding song on the track, on the track list. And great production, like squeaky clean production on this song and all the songs, really. No surprise. These guys are, the biggest, some of the biggest rappers in the game, so that kind of makes sense. So after that is another interlude, and that's the final interlude, actually. And then Moonlight. It's kind of more of an R&B song, slower R&B song. So if you can kind of catch the theme here. There's a ton of R&B songs on here, and that's cool. I'm down with that. That's awesome. Like, this is a chill / not chill album, if that makes sense. And again, like, they rap like as fast as they can, like in the slow songs, and it works. It sounds great. So looking at the entire album, deciding what's like my top 5. Let's just start with Millions From Now is number 1 for sure. Number 2 is Godzilla. Number 3 is Crown Snatcher. I'm gonna say number 4 is Transparency featuring Usher, and number 5 is probably a tie between Long Story Short and Big Diamonds, but I kind of have to choose, so I'm gonna choose Long Story Short. Those are my top 5. So yeah, I really liked this album. I will be listening to it and its predecessor more after this, obviously, and it was solid. I recommend it. I'll go ahead and give this 1 out of 5. I'm gonna go ahead and give this one a 4 out of 5. Pretty solid. I think it might be a little bit bloated with the size of 21 tracks, but that's just mostly because of the interludes, so that doesn't really hurt its review, my review of it. So yeah, a 4 out of 5. I give that a 4 out of 5. Thank you guys for checking out this review, and I'll see y'all later. Have a good one.